Hello, friends, and welcome to Lesson 6 in CKLA's Domain 12, Presidents and United States Symbols. Today's lesson is going to be all about Abraham Lincoln, but we have so much information that we have to learn from the past. So let's do some remembering. All right, so remember that the Pilgrims were one of many groups of people to set up colonies in North America, and that there were 13 colonies in which the colonists lived, and they all had to answer to the King of Great Britain. My question for you is, why did the colonists decide to make a new nation? On the count of three, whisper your answer. 1, 2, 3. You're right. The colonists were tired of answering to the king and wanted the freedom to make decisions for themselves. We've already learned about two of our founding fathers of the country, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. In our last read aloud, we heard about the talents and struggles of Thomas Jefferson. On the count of two, tell me, what was Thomas Jefferson's talent? 1, 2. Amazing. He was an excellent writer. So I'm curious, what important document did Thomas Jefferson write about? You are learning so fast. You're correct. He wrote the Declaration of Independence. And from what country did the colonies declare independence from? Good for you! It was Great Britain. After the Declaration of Independence was approved on the 4th of July, the colonies became a new nation. When we celebrate Independence Day on the 4th of July every day, we are celebrating the birthday of our country. I'm wondering if you remember who was the general of the Army and the founding father who led our country in the American Revolution and helped win the colonists their liberty. George Washington. Terrific. What else did George Washington do? You're right. You haven't missed a thing. He became the first president of the United States. When the founding fathers wrote the Constitution, a set of laws for the country to follow, they decided that the United States would not become a kingdom. Our type of government is a republic. Another word that is used to describe our government is democracy. Unlike a kingdom that is ruled by a king, a democracy is a country ruled by the people. So I'm wondering if you remember, how does somebody get to become president in the United States? On the count of three, share your ideas. 1, 2, 3. That's right. He must be elected or chosen by the people through the Electoral College. Remember the first three presidents of the United States? Who are they again? Awesome. I heard you say George Washington, John Adams, and Thomas Jefferson. You are doing so great with this learning. So although we had run our freedom from the British and they elected many presidents after Thomas Jefferson, there were many people in the United States who were still not free. 100 years ago, some people in our country were enslaved. Enslaved people are people who are forced to work without being paid and are not free to decide how to live their lives. Today, slavery is against the law, and people know that it is wrong. But long ago, it was not against the law. People from Africa were brought to America on ships as enslaved people for the colonists. On this map, you can see Africa in red. When the colonists decided to fight for their freedom from Great Britain, they themselves were keeping freedom from a large number of enslaved people. Many of the founding fathers realized that slavery was wrong, yet they did not vote to get rid of it as they should have done. Many farmers had enslaved people to do the work on farms, especially in the South, where they had large areas of land to farm. Enslaved people could not leave the farms without permission, and they were not free to go about and make their own choices. About 200 years ago, one of the biggest issues Americans were arguing about was slavery. Many people in the northern states thought slavery was wrong, whereas many people in the southern states felt that they needed slavery. 150 years ago, northern and southern states fought a war over slavery. Do any of you happen to know what this war was called? Yeah, some of you got it. It was called the Civil War. The reason it's called a civil war is because it was fought between people who lived in the same country. In part two of our read aloud, you're going to hear about Abraham Lincoln, who was a president of our country during this very important time in American history known as the U.S. Civil War. I can't wait to talk to you again to share in your learning.